More than ever, the question of human resistance against society is on the table. What do we do when things look at their bleakest, and the allure of escape becomes all the more apparent? Perhaps we choose to survive and go into the fantastical, venture into the unknown. To take who with us? Perhaps our families, our friends, our loved ones. All of these questions are asked and answered in the 1986 film The Mosquito Coast, starring Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren. The film was directed by Peter Weir, and the screenplay was done by Paul Schrader. Based on a book of the same name, the film is an interesting exploration of human nature and nature itself. The film focuses on its central protagonist, Ali, a genius inventor who is tired of seeing his country go into decay and ruin. He decides to take himself and his family into an ancient land, a primal land within the jungles of Mosquito. Drawing from its themes of rebellion and never being satisfied with the status quo, I posit that this film is perfect for those who are developing into adolescence, for those who are unsure of their world, and who, like Ali, seek to escape to a better one, a more primitive one. The rest of this video will be an analysis and exploration of the film and its contents. As a result, there are certain significant scenes, moments, and key plot elements that will be discussed. Spoilers are inbound for the rest of it. I would recommend that you watch the film. It is a really nice one. What differentiates The Mosquito Coast from its contemporaries in the 1980s is the catalyst of the narrative itself. The personality of Ali is one that drives the story forward. His own obsession with creating a society is ultimately what brings it back down, and then back up again, as we see repeatedly over and over. And in this cyclical nature, how he interacts with others and how they interact with him are where the majority of the ideas lie. Compared with its contemporaries that Harrison Ford starred in, such as Blade Runner, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and Frantic, The Mosquito Coast is a plot based on his character and his interactions with others. One of these interactions is between himself and the other patriarch of the story, the missionary. What ends up making their dynamic interesting is their differing views on religion. While both are highly educated in the subject of the Bible, and both have their strong opinions on God, they go about ruling their own lives and dictating the lives of others in different manners. The missionary, who only seeks converts in troves, views religion as an escapism for them. Instead of ameliorating their problems, he seeks to obfuscate them with the doctrine of God and with ideas of Christianity. Acting as a foil to the missionary, the inventor Ali is able to take matters into his own hands, using his knowledge of science and engineering to create a paradise in the jungle, a place that no god can reach, and that where he himself is the ruler. As a result of this, their tension is increased throughout the film, culminating in the climax, where the logical extremes of both Ali and the missionary are reached. The missionary ends up becoming a televangelist, preaching to the people of Mosquito from the safety of a sterile TV environment. He has gone from being a flesh and blood human that could potentially help them to his logical extreme, just entertainment, to distract them from the fact that their lives can be awful. This notion of a foreign religion infiltrating a tribal jungle setting and changing its inhabitants is not one unique to the Mosquito Coast. In the 2015 film Embrace of the Serpent, this happens with a group of Amazon boys, who end up becoming syncretic blends of both Christian dogma and tribal influence. In the end, they become monsters who do not pity anyone and have become so religiously zealous that they kill any foreigners on sight. There are many details within the Mosquito Coast. One of these lies in a seemingly inauspicious scene where the children play in the swampland of the acre. In it, we see a microcosm of Ali's own intentions and philosophy. His son Charlie gives us an explanation as to why his father does this. It's not given directly through dialogue, but through the editing of the film. We see that all the children scramble for answers as to why Ali would come to a forest and build a paradise for the jungle, but we see that they're all rejected by Charlie. We are given the answer to Ali's motivations in a quick cut to him portrayed in almost biblical light. He is shown carrying materials to construct the monolithic fat boy, who as in the story acts as a culmination of Ali's work, but also acts as the epitome of civilization, ice within the jungle. Fat Boy itself acts as an encapsulation of Ali's philosophy. Early on in the film, we see Fat Boy compared to a human body, with lungs, kidneys, and veins. And this is realized with Fat Boy's own destruction at the hands of a gun, which mirrors Ali's own death at the hands of the missionary and his rifle. Ali's death is ultimately his own philosophy's death as well, as it reaches its conclusion when he lays dying. He laments that human beings were not meant to stand upright on two legs, that they were not meant to expose their hearts to others, and that the human design is flawed. He ends by saying that nature is crooked, and that he sought straight lines and right angles out of it. The film ends with the father's death, a man who sought order within the chaos of life. This is lamented over by his son, Charlie, who says to us that even though his father is dead, he's not afraid to love him anymore, and that the world that once seemed closed and limited was now opened and limitless. Not because of the physicality of the world or the fact that they traveled to it, but because the world itself stayed the same, only they changed.